Good morning and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world, that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, prayers, and aspirations coming true. Decided to do something special today in honor of the late, great, legendary Malcolm-Jamal Warner. And I was inspired, actually. You know, it's unfortunate that we did lose someone so early that was so great. But his legacy and what he left behind is impeccable. And I definitely want to talk about it. So this podcast for the day is called Black Fist Beautiful. And it's also inspired by the song from the late, great Malcolm-Jamal Warner from his album Hidden in Plain View. And this is Black Fist Beautiful.
People what we see. I'm telling you about the hood. I'm telling you about my life. I'm telling you about, But in an art form, I want to know more about what you imagine could be. Right? Telling us what we see, I think is important too. You know, I certainly see the value of that. In addition to that, the notion of what could it be?
Black fish beautiful. Black fish beautiful. Black fish beautiful.
Black is so beautiful.
Sometimes my daughter sees spirits in her sleep. I see boogeymen when I try. I close my eyes and see images of Step and Fetchit and Amos and Andy. Damn these visions that keep me awake at night. Visions like airplanes from above spraying the sky with ignorance like pesticide, and the repressive residential red lines make it too hard to hide for too long. And all these beautiful black bodies are scared because we don't know how bare we must become not to succumb to the heat of the hovering sun that keeps closing in. And aren't you tired of running for shade? And aren't you tired of being hustled and played? And aren't we all tired of crying about how hard it is to be black in America, even if it looks like we've got it made? But freedom has its limits, so here we are. Tear-streaked and salt-stained faces. Traces of trauma and pain lace our DNA like our black pride is cut and laced with self-hate. And we still think it's dope. Just like the music we're programmed to celebrate. Can you tell me the fate of a people who consciously take the bait and embrace the very traits placed upon them by their captors who by design are inclined to keep them believing they're second rate? I'll wait. We used to fight for our freedom, but now it's like we fight for the right to be dumb for free. Word to ice life, hear me. We are being hustled, y'all. We are being played. Our culture on display like the slave trade for the world to devour. We are a delicious delicacy, but we're left to feed on hopelessness and grief, and the belief that beef with beautiful people who look like us should render them obsolete. Hey yo, grape Kool-Aid tastes great. Yeah, do you realize it's sweetened with self-destruction and low self-esteem? So dreams dismantle as we drink, and desires dampen as we forget the beauty in our blackness, and how we are so rich we remain America's top commodity crop. And it's the evil behind that fear of our melanin that has conditioned the masses to believe we are the boogeymen. Sometimes my daughter sees spirits in her sleep, and sometimes so do I. I close my eyes and see images of powerfully proud people who look like me. Damn these visions of black beauty that keep me awake at night. Visions like fathers who dare show that affection and masculinity do coexist and kiss their wives, daughters, and sons, so they know not the sweet, bitter taste of toxicity graciously offered by hurt people who hurt. Restful sleep for me at night is often averted by visions of fives on the backhand side becoming gripped and grasped hand clasps, and the greeting of eyes as if to simply say, yo, I see you, salute. Visions of black love, too absolute for hate to penetrate. Sisters harnessing what was once called sass, now called steadfast, holding each other up so selflessly, no man of any color would want to smoke associated with the okie doke. Black lives really do matter. I'm seeing where Black is Beautiful is not a slogan. It's our mantra, reminding us that radical self-love is the most revolutionary act that we can imbue. And we unabashedly birth revolutionaries who radiantly refine the art of recycling dollars so that investing in young black entrepreneurs is believed to be a social duty and a spiritual quest. Self-sufficiency puts restless Rose and Greenwood spirits at peace, knowing that the Black Wall Streets weren't slain in vain. In fact, in my vision, Black Wall Streets are the norm, protected by the red, black, and green with the Robert F. Williams lean. We reshape what it means to bling, make it rain on our communities to sustain our empowerment. So sporting brand names is seen as corny. We patronize businesses based on their behavioral engagements in black communities. Because our communities are now designed to be where you see spiritual, creative, and financial wellness align. The spirits tell me now is the time that we decide collectively how much more beautiful do we want to be. Black Fist Beautiful.
Black Fist Beautiful.
Black Fist Beautiful.
Black Fist Beautiful. Black Fist Beautiful. Black Fist Beautiful. Black is beautiful.
Black is beautiful.
Black is beautiful.
Black is so beautiful.
Black is beautiful.
What else is beautiful?
White.
Okay.
Rainbow. And brown and peanut butter is beautiful.
Peanut butter. Peanut butter people are beautiful?
Yeah. And chocolate people and cappuccino people are beautiful.
That was Malcolm-Jamal Warner's Black Fist Beautiful, which is my subject matter for today. Actually, it's Black Fist Beautiful Self-Radical Love. Let me say that one more time for the people in the back. Black Fist Beautiful Self-Radical Love. Let me explain. And actually, I think Malcolm pretty much said it all in that particular piece. And he was an awesome musician, bass player, just a showman all the way around. And I feel bad because I really feel like I took his music for granted, and I would pick him up and then I'd put him back down and I'd pick him up. And actually, he very much inspired me to actually do a CD myself. So I do hope in the future that I do get a chance to do a musical production of my poetry. That would really be awesome for me, and I'm definitely going to add that to my to-do list. But I wanted to talk about Malcolm and his impact and beyond being Theo Huxtable, because I think everybody has been focused on how we know him or how we were introduced to him, which is great. You know, I think that's awesome that his legacy will definitely be forever embedded in television. He's definitely brought a lot that goes without saying. But I want to focus on his philanthropy and his activism and his poetry and his art, because to be honest with you, I see a lot of myself in his work, and I really wasn't paying attention. And what I mean by that is that I kept wanting to look for representation of me, and sometimes stuff is in plain sight. And he definitely mirrored me. And if I was looking for somebody that looked like me, felt like me, moved like me, I would have to say it was him. And even though he was a couple years younger than me, he He had locks. I had locks. He's a Leo. I'm a Leo. But it's not just that stuff. It's more like how he moved. He was very private. We've learned a lot of things about him that he wasn't that we weren't privy to. And I'm the same way. I'm very private, especially when it comes to people I love and care about. You might see pictures here and there, but you really won't know names. And, I'm just very private that way. But on the other side of that, what I really believe he moved the way I do, or I did, whichever, is he was very intentional to me. He seemed to be very intentional about what he was doing, how he moved. And people were saying that he's posted, he's got a lot of posts out there. And he does. And I don't think we'll ever get to all of them. And maybe somebody will put them all on one CD or something, I don't know, or DVD or streaming. But he seemed to be very intentional, like what he said, how he said it, when he said it, where he said it. And as if he knew every moment counted, and I don't know if he thought something was going to happen to him in the future, or if he just moved like, in case it does, let me just go ahead and say this. And that's how I move, to be honest with you. Everything I do is inspired by the same motivation, because we don't know when our time is up or when we're going to be called home. And we really don't. And we have to move that way. I mean, you don't have to do anything, but I purposely do things intentionally. I say things, and I just feel like there's never going to be a right time to say what you need to say. Just like when people say, when is the best time to say I love you? To me, is there a wrong time to say it? To me, if you're motivated by love, true love, I mean, genuine caring, and I'm not talking about just romantic love, there's never a wrong time to say I love you to anyone. Even if it makes them uncomfortable, who doesn't want to hear that? Who doesn't want to hear the words, I love you, I'm proud of you, good job, thank you, I'm grateful for you. And I believe he moved that way. I love the fact that he never said anything negative about Bill Cosby. That's another thing I would never do. This is the man that put you on. Even if he didn't agree, that was his boss. It wasn't his dad. It wasn't his uncle. This was somebody he worked for that put him in the spotlight. Why would you say something negative about him? Even if he was wrong, and I'm sure they had their conversations, and he probably has his judgments about it, but he knew that he wasn't the judge and the jury. So to speak ill, again, you guys know how I feel about speaking ill of people, especially when they're black, on public forums. I just don't believe in it. I don't. I think the world does not belong in our relationships. It doesn't belong in our community. We have to handle our own business. And I never understood why people, what do you get out of it, tearing someone down? Are you lifted? Does it make you a better person? So I love that he always answered with grace and respect, and he never said anything negative about that man or his legacy. And I have much respect for that. Much, much respect. And that's the kind of friends I want to be around. Those are the kind of black men I want to associate with. And it's important to me. That's the one thing I feel like I lost the opportunity to be friends with somebody like him. And since I left Atlanta, he actually knew a lot of the same people that I knew. The last time I saw him online was I saw him at the Jazz Festival, taking pictures with a lot of people that I know, and musicians and singers. And he kind of moved like Robert Glasper, like he's just one of those people that you could just walk up to. Like he's not dressed up. He probably just had a t-shirt and jeans on, and you probably thinking, is that Malcolm? He just seems very approachable, very down to earth, and rooted in his culture. He loved being around black people, and he was very unapologetic about it. And that's the other part that I love about him, is that even this particular song, Black Fist Beautiful, who else could say that? And I love that he didn't hide behind his fame. He really was very unapologetic about his his thoughts, his beliefs, what he wanted for black people. And I think, no, I know, to be honest with you, it takes a lot of courage to be that person. And it's lonely. Believe me, I know, I don't know him per se, but outside of his wife, I bet his circle is very small. And to be a black person that stands up for something, and I'm speaking for myself, it's lonely. It is really lonely because it's hard to get people to stand with you about your beliefs without them feeling like, they're disrupting the status quo or they're making people uncomfortable. And I can only speak for myself, but I'm glad a Malcolm-Jamal Warner existed because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better to know that my life is not in vain and that I can continue to do what I do with grace and self-respect. And it is a self-radical love. I can't tell you how much I love myself. And it's not to be confused with arrogance. And I do love my people. I don't always understand us as black people sometimes. Some of the things that we do, why we do it, why we hurt each other, why we, do things to make our oppressor feel good or comfortable. And I like that Malcolm wasn't afraid, or maybe he was, I don't know, to speak up about that and the injustices and the things that are in plain sight. And it, I'm not going to lie, it bothers me that I've been in circles where I've stood alone and my own people didn't help me. I was out there by myself. And I feel that way now, and again, but I push on. I do it anyway. I stand strong anyway, and something else he said, and I'm going to play some other pieces from him, is it's okay to be vulnerable. You're not going to win an award because you're not showing an emotion or you're not being your genuine self. But there's nothing wrong with being a strong, black, sensitive man or woman. And I love that he wasn't afraid to say that. He wasn't afraid to express himself and say, hey, I'm vulnerable. I'm human. I'm a human being at the end of the day. And I just want to share more of his music. And, hopefully once you get offline, you can go take a listen for yourself. But just enjoy and hopefully be inspired yourself. And this next piece is called Hiding in Plain View, taken from his album, Hidden in Plain View. Same title. All right, here we go.
Vulnerability can be a scary thing, even when we're on the mend. Black boys boast bravado not to seem broken, and often so do black men. I see you, looking for clues, searching for cues, longing to know what I'm not telling you, as if I'm hiding in plain view. Even though I speak my truth, for some it just doesn't seem to be enough. But when red tables turn timidly, some say they tell too much when they talk. My most intimate thoughts belong to me, like a woman's body when she says no. So I reserve the right to go as far as I'd like, and though I live in the public eye, I don't subscribe to the dog and pony show. I've learned to discern who cannot accept all of me. I read the room before I speak, because I find that folks flee from honesty like we retreat from love. Vulnerability can be a scary thing, even when we're on the mend. Black boys boast bravado not to seem broken, and often so do black men. My relationship with rejection reeks of stale smiles and toxic tear stains that shed secretions of trepidation. And since astute sharks sense fear so sharply, sometimes I feign confidence like young girls dumb down and grown women fake orgasms. And sometimes I refrain from revealing how I truly feel and just hang out and hide the parts of me you possibly might not like. Vulnerability can be a scary thing, right? I mean, we all do the same dance. It's like life is one big masquerade party with cute masks to mask misshapen identities made by us to make us feel safe in the face of uncertainty. But when we hide ourselves to please, we place a piece of our souls on hold, and the safety of that space eventually becomes a poisonous pit of unexpressed feelings and untended quirks that never quite get worked out. The things we hide about ourselves don't disappear, and some we fear may slip out when least expected. An irony for me is when I wanted to be fully accepted without giving my full self. Not feeling safe enough to be vulnerable, I'd lament I was only being loved based on what I thought was safe to present. I spent years in a relationship hiding, halfway knowing I was neglecting me, allowing myself to be disrespected since I was silently disrespecting me. Friends looking at me like, yo, who is he? It's deep. A compromised soul may let you sleep but will never let you rest. Unless you address the parts of you that can't be dressed up with a smile and an "I'm fine." So I'm on this quest to embrace a self-love so radical that I honor every aspect of my being, even the broken I'm working to heal. Dim my light for no one. Let it project with precision to keep my path bright and protect my soul and spirit like a lion protects its cubs from perilous predators day and night. Black boys boast bravado not to seem broken, and often so do black men. Vulnerability is a scary thing. And while I'm on the mend, my need is to love me and tend to my self-care. Hiding in plain view is just me choosing how much of my soul I'm willing to share.
I absolutely love that. I love that piece. And again, I wish I got a chance to see him do that live. Just an awesome, awesome piece, especially coming from a poet perspective. And that was Hiding in Plain View from his album Hidden in Plain View. And I want to talk about that piece and the vulnerability in it, the honesty. And it was a lot of things that he said that, again, that mirror how I feel. And being yourself. Let's talk about that for a second. Just being yourself. That's radical self-care, like he said, not hiding who you are, who you really are. And that's how I feel. I mean, at the end of the day, again, I can't tell you the loneliness, the pain I've endured walking this path by myself. And I'm truly inspired by Malcolm's life. And I knew I wasn't going to do a podcast kind of mourning him. I wanted to take the baton myself and take it upon myself to run with it. Just run with it and celebrate the legacy that he has laid. And I think we're doing an injustice by not doing that as people, because he was very, very proud to be a black man, very proud of it. And he stood strong in that. You know, no matter what his success was, he was rooted in his blackness. And that's how I feel. And I'm talking about all shades of black, all ages. He didn't seem to have an exception, which again, with us as black people, there's a lot of things we do that I don't understand. We still have the lights. We still have the colorism issue. And I've never understood that. I still don't. And I'm not light skinned or dark skinned. But we're doing him a disservice to his legacy if we don't continue to carry the baton and move forward. You know, I don't want his life to have been in vain, because he worked really hard to speak on things that he didn't have to speak on. You know, he was definitely the exception to the rule. And also, I love the fact that there'll never be another Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Just like I know there's never going to be another Mose Xavier Harden Jr. And I also love the fact that he had a lot of gifts that he was not afraid to embrace. He embraced the fact that he was an artist at the end of the day. He wasn't just Theo Huxtable, he was an artist. And he is what I consider black man magic at its best. You know, he represents black man magic. That black men are magical, that we are inspirational, we are strong in the midst of struggle. We are inspired by our ancestors who fought for us to be in this position. And I love that he used his platform to speak. He knew that his voice would reverberate and go out into the universe. And he didn't know who he was going to touch, but he knew he was touching somebody. And it's nice to see multi-generational people knowing his work, And I love that he never seemed to speak ill of anybody. And I love that he knew that he wasn't perfect, but he wasn't trying to be. That's the cool part. You know, I love that his weight fluctuated. Sometimes you saw him and, you could tell he had put on a little bit. Did he, lose it or whatever? He didn't seem to be vain either, And I don't know I don't think he did anything in terms of his physique, in terms of Botox and anything like that. But he seemed to genuinely love being himself. And his views on family and love were he seemed like he was a protector as well, which is another one of those things that I feel I am as well. But I just want to continue on this journey and share more of his music. And I hope you guys decide to dig into his catalog, because I really think he's definitely going to be sorely missed. And this last piece that I'm going to share is called Selfless, from his album of the same name, Selfless.
I abhor that I give a little bit, tastefully, and then take it back, sometimes not so gracefully, because it hurts. First yours, then mine. Committing the same crime more times in these bursts of passion that I ration out. Still, I hold you tightly, breathe your air to keep you from passing out. Or it might be to keep you from lashing out once you realize we're crashing out into a plummet. Whodunit mysteries, as clear as why the world is round and why this girl's frown matches the last few in my recent history. Is it me? I finally ask. I feel her holding back the tears as I hold on to these fears as if they define me. Searching, I can't even find me because they're blocking my path. The math is simple, really. Mine times a few broken hearts yearly easily makes me the culprit. Preaching love dearly at the pulpit when I am just as lost as the parishioners. Dedicated listeners looking for direction. But a heart that's surrounded by protection isn't a heart ready to be given. It's just a ride that's driven love seekers mad into crying jags. And maybe I've had enough of giving my love in parts. So I'll keep it to myself until I'm ready to give my heart selflessly.
Now that, again, is another wonderful piece that I would have loved to have seen him do that live. And as a poet, again, his vulnerability just shines through his work. And I so appreciate it, definitely. And I love that it's timeless, very timeless. And you can appreciate that poem 20, 30 years from now. And I hope his daughter is inspired when she hears it. And I hope it takes her to another place when she gets to grow into his material. But I digress. I also want to talk about my Malcolm-Jamal Warner t-shirts that I have available in my store right now. And I decided to, again, do something to inspire his legacy that, that we can carry on for the rest of our lives and just speak his name, as they say, continue to speak his name. So when you get a chance, go by my store, All Things Moetic, and check out my Malcolm-Jamal Warner t-shirts, as well as my other material that's in there now. Again, I have a sale that's going on through Thursday, which is my birthday of next week. And also I wanted to give an early shout out to Malcolm-Jamal. He was a fellow Leo. He was just shy of his 55th birthday, which was, I think 18 days after mine. I think it was August 18th. So he was definitely a fellow Leo. And he definitely moved like a Leo for sure. No doubt about it. But I also want to say thank you for listening. I know this was a different type of podcast, and I wanted to do something in honor of him. And I didn't want to do a woe is me, oh, he's not here. I knew I wasn't doing that. The minute I heard of his passing, I knew that I wanted to do something inspiring And I think we should be inspired. I didn't know him as a person, but I believe that he would want us to not let his life have been in vain, that we need to do more and heed his message. And I believe with my whole heart that he definitely said things intentionally so we could go back and be reminded of it. So even when he repeated himself again, I think he wanted his voice to resonate. I believe he wanted us to hear his voice even from beyond. I believe that with my whole heart, and because I feel the same way. My podcast will be here. My voice will be here. Everything about me, my legacy will be here. And I will definitely speak his name, and I will definitely consider him the most magical black man that walked the planet, So I'm inspired, forever inspired. And actually, unfortunately, his death was, of course, really bad timing. There's no great time to lose anyone. There is no right time. But I have to say, the day it happened, I had been in a place of self-pity and self-doubt. And he really, really lit a fire in me. He really lit a fire in me that I'm going to truly appreciate for the rest of my life. I really needed to see someone that looked like me. And I didn't realize the importance of representation. And I hate that I missed it. I really did. I hate that I didn't see him until he died. But I'm glad I finally did, because now I am about to exude even more self-radical love. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world, and that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, and prayers coming true. Thank you for listening.